The first duty of government is to protect our rights.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government in what we were tasked to do.
If you really want to doge, this is how you doge. You don't vote for bad legislation that expands government. Thank you.
Now we're talking about taxpayer money, and we talk about accountability. It is their money. This isn't a government program we're actually spending on. We're actually giving it back to the people of Idaho.
There's other options for making our ballots more secure, such as using watermarks or putting holograms on the ballots.
And I think that that's what we need to look at more, is trying to get back to what we used to be, where our churches and our families took care of each other instead of relying on the state.
I asked the question rhetorically, if we gave them another $1 billion, they wouldn't be happy. Well, we've given them $2 more billion, and it's not enough.
We need to start making Idaho first. We need to start making America first.
Other states like Texas and Florida have enacted similar laws to address illegal immigration, both locally and in their communities. And Idaho has the right to protect itself when the federal government has failed to do that.
COVID presented us with quite the enigma. We didn't really know what it was or what to do, but that is no excuse to violate the rights of the citizens of the state of Idaho.
Say vote no on this and let the teachers teach and quit bringing in coaches to teach the teachers to teach, and let's get education going again in Idaho.
I don't know what's coming after this current administration for the feds, and we need this law because our federal laws on immigration have failed.
Mr. President, I think it's incumbent upon us to allow parents to use their hard-earned dollars to provide what's best for their children.
If I was looking at a business and I was looking at these figures, there would be heads rolling because this is unsustainable.
My concern is that the resilience of Idahoans who believe in self-reliance and self-responsibility will be eroded.
We need to be protecting our First Amendment rights, not inventing ways to slowly chip away at them.
The First Amendment and our freedom of religion, freedom of speech are our first liberties. They are so important. We don't have the rest without them.
Yeah, watch it.
Good morning, everyone. It is February 3, 2026. Welcome back to Idaho Signal. I am Matt Edwards. It's great to be with you again this week. You know, this morning, I've been thinking a little bit about Charlie Kirk and Charlie's assassination. Gunned down in front of 1,000 college students right there, promoting free speech and civil discourse like it was just another day. And I've watched the reactions from many in my circles, and let me tell you, it's been very revealing. Some absolutely get it. The gravity of it all, the chilling message sent to anyone daring to speak out and speak truth in this fractured age. Others, though, crickets, or worse, quick pivots to unity platitudes that ring hollow. I've said it before, there are way too many people in the national spotlight who don't know what time it is. And they act like we're still cruising through the 1990s la-la land of endless prosperity and polite disagreements, where you could say bold things without real consequences. Newsflash, that clock is spinning wildly out of control. Charlie knew what time it was. He was always on the side of truth. No apologies, no hedging. And that's the priority that matters most. The one he hammered home constantly, the truth. When people try to straddle that line, showing up on truth's side while carving out neat little exceptions for themselves or their cronies, well, that's someone who either genuinely doesn't grasp the hour we're in, they still think that capitulation will save the day like it's a Murphy Brown sitcom episode, or they're acting in pure bad faith, securing their own comfort while their house burns. Then you've got the one-issue warriors who live and die on a single principle, convinced that if everyone just agreed on their pet cause, utopia arrives tomorrow. It's a cute theory, but perfection is never coming by the hand of man. Death, on the other hand, is guaranteed. The world around us is messy. It's filthy. It's depraved. It's full of manipulators who thrive in chaos. But when truth cuts through, when innocence shines, when you glimpse the divine at work, it stops you dead in your tracks. And when someone like Charlie speaks with that kind of clarity, unflinching, unignorable, it terrifies the powers that be. That's dangerous to them, lethal, because you can't manipulate people who see clearly. The only thing they can do is murder. So here's my plea. Stay on the side of truth, no exceptions. Be aware of what's going on, not just in your own backyard, not just among your church or your workplace, but everywhere. Now, I'm not asking you to meddle in anyone else's affairs. Mind your business. Mind your own business. The phrase Ben Franklin pushed for to be on our national motto. It was mind your business. Ben Franklin knew a thing or two about focus, right? But that mindfulness has to be rooted in absolute awareness of the real stakes, the real battles raging all around. Folks, Charlie is gone because he refused to look away. Don't let his death be in vain. Stay vigilant. And with that, there's a lot to talk about today. We got a lot of guests lined up for you today to get through. But first, there's something important happening this week. We told you last week that we're expecting that the Blaine Amendment, the repeal to the bill that would put on the ballot the repeal of the Blaine Amendment, is going to be having a hearing today. This week in the House State Affairs Committee. And I wanted to bring in Kate Hartley again. Catherine Hartley from the Pacific Justice Institute, I believe, is with us. Good morning, Kate. Good to see you. Important week coming up. We have a hearing again. We've done this before, but we're having a hearing again in the House State Affairs Committee to repeal the Blaine Amendment. And I think I hear that you're going down there. What are you expecting to see when you get there?
Good morning, Matt. Thanks for having me again. Yes, very happy that this is getting a hearing, and certainly hope that it progresses farther than it did before. And it will be interesting to see what opposition potentially there is to this, what support it has, and hopefully be ready for anything that's thrown at it.
Yeah. We've been collecting a ton of signatures on petitions. We've been rallying people. We've been asking people to sign up once the portal is open to sign up, or even head down there if they're there in person. In terms of just what we saw at the Supreme Court, the Idaho Supreme Court, where they talked about the Blaine Amendment. It was used in I believe Representative Stephanie Mickelson's, in her, I guess you can call it, her claim that she's being harmed in such a manner. And we've seen all the reaction online to the documentary that released that dealt with your client, Truth Family Bible Church. I think the education part of this, because it goes to the voter, the education part of this, I believe, is starting to get out there. Have you seen any reactions? Have you had any conversations on the inside or with normal folks on this issue? And how do you think that education is going on this issue?
Definitely. I think, and as you said, the important part about what the legislature is doing right now is purely to get this onto the ballot. So all the legislature is that we're asking them to do is, please put this on the ballot so the voters can weigh in on this. And I agree with you. It's going to take a lot of education to the public. And I have had very positive conversations that is starting, and people are realizing that this is an important issue that harms normal people in our state and in our country, and just firing people up a little bit to learn more about this and to, again, address it with the same vigor we've addressed other kinds of discrimination. And it's unsurprising that many people have no idea what a Blaine Amendment is, and they're finally hearing about it, which is great. That's what we're looking for, and we want people to get correct information about what this does legally and how it harms people. And so I think we've got a long way to go to really get a majority of the voters educated, but I think it has started and it's going well.
That's great. I want to ask you about, now you're with the Pacific Justice Institute. So while you're based in Idaho, your organization covers things nationally. What is the sense in other states and other areas? Is it the same level of education that's needed? Are we on the forefront of doing something here in Idaho? Are other folks watching Idaho? Is this a big deal to other states? Have you heard anything?
Other states are definitely watching. I think we are on, we're hoping that we're the first state to fall, so to speak. And I think if that can happen here, it will definitely produce a domino effect in other states, and which is great. That's what we want. That would be a very positive thing for the country in general, and for religious liberty in general all over the country. And so I do think that this is being watched, and that we should lead the way.
Yeah, I agree. It's fun to be at the front of the of the charge on this. So lucky us, right? And all the great work that you've been doing on this issue in the state as well, especially with the court cases, setting the precedent. I mean, that's so important. Like we didn't really have this argument, a year ago or a couple years ago when they've tried this before, but to have these cases, to have the Truth Family Bible Church case, to have the homeschoolers and their cases, like this really helps put a finer point on how this is harming folks in Idaho.
Absolutely. And it's very clear now that this is not, an issue happening somewhere else. It's happening right here. And in so many different contexts, not even purely related to school choice. A lot of people think this is only has an effect on, school choice programs. And this has very broad, sweeping consequences. Yeah. And we have direct evidence of that happening in Idaho now.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's just so far removed from the school choice debate in and of itself. I mean, you're talking about, this church was just renting a public space, and it got kicked out. and right. For people to use that as the reason why is ridiculous. All right, Kate, we're going to let you go. We'll look forward to seeing your testimony down there in person, and hopefully you get to meet some good folks. And if we're still gathering petitions, folks. So that's why that QR code is up there, and you want to go there. We're still gathering those things because we want to make a statement, especially if it can get to the Senate. I think the Senate is going to be the big challenge there as well. So. Kate, we'll check in with you when you're down there and see how it goes.
Thanks so much, Matt. I appreciate it.
All right, safe travels. God bless. All right, very nice, folks. Let's see if is the House still in session, guys? What's going on in the House? Let's see. The House is currently debating. It's Democrat Steve Birch. They're debating House Bill 559, and if you recall, we covered that on the. We covered this on the air a few days ago, or at least last week when it was introduced, and they discussed it. Let's chime in. Let's hear in a little bit of the Democrats' debate.
We have to reasonably conclude that there's just too much uncertainty at this time to reduce state revenue by $1.5 to $2 billion over the next 10 years. So for that reason, at this point, I cannot support this fiscal decision. Thank you.
For the debate on the motion. Jones 17, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate for the second time, but just to respond to the issue of conformity.
Okay, is there anybody who wishes to debate the bill for the first time? Jones 30.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you. Good ladies and good gentlemen of this body, I stand to debate in favor of the bill. I'm going to do so in a little bit of an unorthodox manner. I recently read a book, and the book is called Transcend. It's by Scott Barry Kaufman, who's a psychologist. Scott Barry Kaufman, the thrust of this book was to take the pyramid of needs that we're kind of familiar with that Abraham Maslow created or did work on in his lifetime, and reimagine that as a sailboat instead of a pyramid. And at the base of this sailboat is the hull, and that consists of our basic needs as human beings, needs of security, needs of safety, food, water, shelter, heat, stuff like that. And at the top of the pyramid, and what becomes the sail of the sailboat, are our needs that become important to us as we fulfill our most basic needs. Those are growth needs. And so some of the needs that you'll see at the top of the pyramid and in the sail of the sailboat would be the need to find purpose, the need to explore, the need to find fulfillment and adventure. This book resonated with me to the extent that I have a new item of office decor in my office here at the Capitol, which is a sailboat. But it resonated with me on a personal level, and it also, I believe, creates a metaphor that is applicable to the state as well. America is a great country, in my opinion, the greatest country on earth. It is a country that has, over the years, created incentives for people to work hard, created incentives for people to innovate, created incentives for people to invent. And these sails that America has implemented in its history have had the effect of raising up not only the prosperous, but those with great needs in our country. It's interesting, if you look around, if you look at the country, inventors who have invented things that come from America typically have stayed in America. Inventors who have invented things from around the world typically come to America. Innovators who innovate.
Okay, we are currently watching Representative David Cannon out of East Idaho there, trying to make heads or tails of exactly where he's headed with his speech here. They're debating House Bill 559. They're trying to move this thing rather quickly because they need to conform our tax codes to what happened with the One Big Beautiful Bill and all the different tax rates and the different tax laws, taxing tips and overtime, not taxing tips, not taxing overtime, and all the other various things that were passed. Idaho wants to have those things, here as well for our tax base in state. So that's the debate that's going on here. Let's bring in Brian Allman if he's here, and guys, let's keep tabs on just let me know when you see someone else speak up and throw them up on screen. We'll see who else is talking there. Brian, what's going on here with this conformity bill?
Well, I was in the committee hearing yesterday morning, so I'm surprised to see it.
It was packed, right? You mentioned that yesterday. It was packed.
Yeah, it was packed, but like I said yesterday, it really didn't have anything to do with this bill. This bill would cut certain taxes, because it would. The federal government in the One Big Beautiful Bill says we're not going to charge income tax on overtime or on tips. We're going to raise the child tax credit. We're going to add a senior tax credit. We're going to allow businesses to deduct their research and experimentation expenditures all at once instead of spreading them out over the next 5 years. Things like that. Now, Idaho has the choice to conform to that. We don't have to. If we don't, that means we're still going to charge state taxes on those things since we have a state income tax. Usually conformity is just a formality because they only make minor changes each year. This time it's really big changes. And so it's driving a lot of debate. And it happens at this exact same time that we have these revenue shortfalls last year coming in under projections. And so people are worried that we're not going to have enough money to pay for the entire state budget. And so we have people arguing that we shouldn't conform this year, or we should only conform on a few things. And a lot of it is on that research and experimentation deduction. That's where a lot of the debate's been.
Yeah, Jason, Representative Jason Monk's majority leader has stood up to speak. Let's listen to some of his words.
These aren't our high corporate executive jobs, people who are making a living by receiving tips. These are our working class individuals. So are we going to increase their taxes, give them less incentive to work, or are we going to give them more incentive to work? I think one of the problems we always look at tax policy is we look at it in very static terms. We think, oh, we reduce the rate, then that's going to be a loss of revenue. That's a static looking at taxes, and taxes never work that way. Taxes work dynamically. The more money we put back into the pockets of the people, the more money we're going to get back eventually, because they spend that money. They don't stick it under their mattresses. They invest it, they spend it. Either way, revenues generate more money. I think that's something that's been proven time and time again. Every time it's been tried, it always works. I think this is another example of that. We could not conform to any of these tax things. We're still going to recreate a lot of work for our accountants. No matter what we do, we're going to create work for the accountants. They're waiting for us to get this job done, and no matter what we do, they're going to have more work. They're going to have to change things, whatever they did. Whether they estimated we were going to do one thing or they estimated we were going to do another thing, they're going to have a lot of work. That's going to happen no matter which way we decide. So it's an unfortunate thing for them, but it really doesn't change my rationale on whether or not this is a good bill and whether it should pass. So, Mr. Speaker, I think this is a good bill. I think it needs to pass. I think we need to move it along and let our accountants do our taxes so that the state can receive revenues, so that we can all get more money back and we can spend more money, invest in the economy, and generate more revenue.
For debate for the first time, Gentleman 24.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To debate in favor?
Has the floor.
All right. I know this has a lot of intricacies to it. I'm kind of a simple guy, graphic designer by trade. I actually worked my way through high school and college in restaurants, almost 20 years. And boy, would I have loved to have the opportunity that this bill gives as we conform. My folks are seniors. As gas prices have gone up, everything else, I can go on. We all know everything's gone up. This is good for the people, right? One thing I hate to hear, as we all know the old saying, one of the scariest things you can hear, hi, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. We need more of your money to do good things for you. That's what I'm hearing a lot of. I think the best thing for our people and our citizens and the hardworking people and the people that are most affected by what we've been dealing with the last few years are the people that are going to benefit the most from this. We could go into the intricacies of the corporate aspects, but right now we need some immediate relief to our people, those working the hardest, the overtime hours, our seniors, and this is a good thing. And I think it's our job as representatives to make sure we can do something right away for our people. So I will be a definite yes on this.
For debate for the motion and for the first time. Hearing that, is a debate for the second time. Gentleman from 15.
Mr. Speaker, to debate for the second time.
Gentleman has the floor.
Thank you. One of the things my good friends on the other side of the aisle refer to President Reagan and the great things that he has done. And I just want to point out that President Reagan signed 11 tax increases into law during his term in office.
For the debate for the second time. Gentleman 17.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. There are a number
Gentleman has the floor to debate the bill for the second time.
Yes. May I have the floor to debate the bill for the second time?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. There are a number of ways in which we do not conform to the federal. The bonus deduction's been mentioned. We don't, but another big way is Social Security. The state of Idaho does not tax Social Security. The federal does tax Social Security. So what that means is that a married couple on Social Security who maybe each spouse gets $2,000 a month, that couple will get maybe $45,000, $50,000 in Social Security benefits. So that's immediately off the table. That's not taxed. In addition, that couple will be getting $31,500 in a standard deduction. So if you're getting a some IRA money, some Percy benefits, something like that, that's not going to be taxed. So a married senior couple,
Listening to Representative John Gannon, Democrat out of
who
Boise.
earns less than $80,000 already is not paying taxes. And they're not going to get any benefit from the $6,000 or the $12,000 tax deduction because there's no because they're not paying any taxes. That tax deduction also phases out at about $150,000. So we do need to be careful when we say this is some kind of wonderful thing for seniors to help them in paying their higher electric bill, in paying their higher gas bill, in paying all the higher bills that they have. It is not going to be of any help to the vast majority of our seniors. We did have the average income is about $60,000 for a senior married couple. So for the vast majority of our married seniors, it's not going to be of any help, and it really should be tweaked so that it does help them. But there are many ways that we don't conform. Idaho does it the Idaho way on our Idaho tax return in many different
All right,
ways.
everybody take a drink. The Idaho way was mentioned. Brian Allman. We need to do it the Idaho way. It's always the Idaho way. They're going to continue debating on this for a while, I imagine. I think they're going around in the second round of debate, so it will close soon. We'll hang with it to see what the vote is. But when you think about conforming to what the feds do and what we do here in Idaho and everything, taxes are taxes, and we could have easily said, well, we don't want to tax on tips here in Idaho even before the big beautiful bill came around, right?
Presumably. I mean, we can do anything we want there. Obviously, as Representative Gannon just said, we don't tax Social Security, but the feds do, which is odd to me. Last year, we passed a bill to say we're not going to tax sales of gold and silver because that's transitioning from one money to another, not selling goods. We also decided we're not going to tax military pensions for certain veterans as long as they come and work in another field here in Idaho, because we want to incentivize that. So, states have those levers at their disposal. Federal government has levers. One of my least favorite arguments from Democrats on this, and I heard a lot of it in the committee yesterday, is that people who don't pay taxes are not going to see relief from this bill. And to me, that's obvious. If you're not paying taxes, you're not getting a tax return, so you're not going to see relief by reducing your taxes. But Democrats make this argument like, oh, this is terrible because, these people who, are already, not making much money are not going to get any relief. Well, that's just the way the math works. If you don't already pay taxes, then a tax cut's not going to affect you much. But that's not an argument, I think, against cutting taxes.
Well, and what they don't want to say is that generally the people that aren't paying taxes most likely, possibly, are receiving something from the government in terms of some sort of welfare, system, some sort of benefit that all the taxpayers are paying into. And so if you reduce their taxes, maybe they won't get as much, or maybe we have to cut back on things. And that's some of the things that if we have time to, and I'm sure we will, when we talk about JFAC and some of the arguments that were being made to make these cuts in JFAC, we're talking 1% to 3%, 5% at the top level of cuts that they want to do this year in JFAC. And these people act like it's the end of the world. I believe we're going to have the vote come up here soon. So let's chime in here and see how this goes. We might be a little.
All the bills that we have fiscal notes. It's an estimate. It's a projection. The challenge on Joint Rule 18 says make it a reasonable projection. I believe I have shared why this is a reasonable projection. We cannot wait until we eliminate all uncertainty. We'd have to wait until the end of the year and everything happened and then go ask taxpayers to file their taxes again if we waited until all uncertainty was eliminated. Even then, that would be impossible. So let's put money back in the hands of the average Idaho citizens. This does help seniors. It's not about Social Security. It's about a standard deduction for seniors. If some seniors don't pay taxes, it's kind of hard to, that's great. They have no taxes. It's hard to give tax relief to someone that doesn't pay taxes. But what about the seniors that do? Let's not exclude them, and this bill helps them. So let's pass conformity to Trump's one big beautiful bill and provide tax relief to the citizens of Idaho. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Debate is closed. Question is, shall House Bill 559 pass the House? Clerk will unlock the machine. Members will cast their votes. Has every member voted? Representative Hall, or should I say Representative Stone?
Well, there you go. It's a party line vote.
Yep. That is that's what it should that's what we should see all the time.
On good things, yes.
Yeah. I mean, on the good things. I mean, that's the key here, especially up at the national level, right, Brian? I mean, we don't talk about national politics on this show too much, but like, you know, when you see people cross over to stop good bills, you know, it's amazing. But there it is. Of course, a party line vote, 59-9. You got two absentees, Faye Thompson and Joe Alfieri, not in the building at the time, or at least not in the room. But the Democrats, of course, stopping this. So I have a feeling once it hits the Senate that it's probably, I mean, with this kind of a majority, I can't imagine the Senate doing anything differently here. Do you?
No, I see probably a party line vote. I don't know. There's one or two senators I'm sure you and I can come up with who might, want to be contrarian on this. But I know behind the scenes, they've been arguing about this for weeks, even before the session started.
Sure.
This has been one of their big issue bills that they've been trying to hammer out. And I heard 2 weeks ago that the House was essentially on board, that the House Republicans were on board. And this, I think, proves that out. They are united on this. We'll see what happens in the Senate. We'll see if there's any dissension over there. But the fact that the House pulled this from second reading calendar to vote on it today shows that they want to get this moving. They want to get this done so that, we, the taxpayers of Idaho, and, if we have accountants or CPAs working to prepare our taxes, especially businesses, have some certainty as to exactly how our tax filing is going to go, because we're already in February. So we're still just have a few more months left to get that done. And, I'm glad to see this going through quickly.
Yeah, and and another thing to note is that it is an election year, and you could certainly make a lot of hay if you're a Republican who voted against the big beautiful bill being enacted in Idaho. Essentially, I mean, that's a good talking point. But here you have at least all the House Republicans on record as voting for conformity to the one big beautiful bill. That's a 59-9 vote.
And that's essentially what it represents is about $155 million, give or take, as Representative Vaylor said, in tax cuts for the people and businesses of Idaho. So voting against it is essentially voting for higher taxes.
Amen. Amen, brother. All right. Well, we also had on deck Representative Lucas Kaler was going to join us earlier, but obviously he was down there voting and going through this the process today down there on the floor. So hopefully he'll be able to join us before the broadcast is out. What we're going to do, folks, is take a short break. Just enough time to let me tell you about American Smoke Company. I keep a stash back here. Where is it? Oh yeah, this is Brian. I don't know if you haven't had this yet. The key.
I've not had a chance to sample it yet.
I'm gonna have to send you some. I'll have to get them to send you some. But this is a smoked salt, guys. Throw up the graphic. AmericanSmokeCo.com. This is their flavor profiles: the pecan salt, the mesquite salt, oak salt. What they do is they take Pacific Ocean sea salt. It's very coarse. You might be able to even see it on the screen there. It's very coarse. And they smoke it this one was smoked for 12 hours. They put it in these beautiful little canisters. It smells fantastic, and they ship it out to you. Or you can, if you live up near me, over in Post Falls, you can get these at a meat shop out there, Tim's Specialty Meats. No, free plug for Tim's over there. But head over to AmericanSmokeCo.com. Check out their stock. Check out what they have. And please order yourself some. These guys are fantastic. They're great Americans, great patriots, and all they want to do is make your meat taste good. AmericanSmokeCo.com. We'll be right back.
exactly what happened. You want to pull the tape? You can pull the tape because we now got video.
Idaho is the dirt under your fingernails after an honest day's work. Idaho is the hug around your neck when your daughter spells her first word. Idaho is the written word of the law, steadfast and impartial, guarding liberty for all. Idaho is the family rifle passed down, a legacy of protection and the right to stand firm. Idaho is the echo of your own voice, unshaken and free, standing tall among the world's silenced. Idaho is the home that's built to weather storms, not empty wallets. Idaho is the quiet trust between a patient and healer, unbroken and sacred. Idaho is the hymn carried by the Spirit, gathering neighbors together in faith and purpose. Idaho is the laughter around a campfire, a family's bond growing stronger with every word. Idaho is the pioneer's will, firm and clear. We govern ourselves, free and unbound. Idaho is what America was. Let's keep it that way. Ask your legislator to sign the Citizens Alliance of Idaho pledge to preserve our shared values. We ride together.
Folks, give us a call. 208-402-4915 is where you can leave us a message on our voicemail, the mailbox. What do they call it these days? Just what would you just call it? I think you just call it a voicemail box, right? 208-402-4915 is the number. Leave us your name, your town, where you're calling from, and we'll play it on the air. If you are working outside somewhere, you don't want to use up all your data, you just want to listen to us and audio only, idahosignal.live. idahosignal.live on your browser, on your phone. You could even add a little bookmark. You hit that, goes right to that page, you press play, and the show is on a continuous loop of the most recent episode. So head over there. Folks, we just hit 5,000 subscribers this morning. Can you believe it? I wish we had some firework graphics. I just went over and checked. We just crossed over the 5,000 mark of subscribers on YouTube. Thank you so much for subscribing and keeping tabs on us over there. That is a fantastic achievement. We started this session just 3 weeks ago. We were barely at 2,000. We might have had like 1997 or 2005 or something like that. And we've gained 3,000 subscribers since we've been on the air, which just goes to show, folks, that you are alert, you are awake, you are engaged, and you're sharing the content. And we thank you ever so much. Ever so much. All right, folks. Yeah, there it is. That's the 5,000. We got it. Very good. All right, let's bring Brian back in here. Brian, this morning in JFAC, and folks, I'll get to us in a bit. We'll talk about House Bill 557, which was the non-discrimination, the states telling the cities that they can't have these non-discrimination things, having to deal with sexual orientation and gender identity. We talked about that yesterday, and the hearing was yesterday. I won't bury the lead. They passed the bill. It's going to the House floor, so we'll have more debate on that. But we'll talk more about that in a minute. But I do want to talk about what happened in JFAC this morning, because it kind of ties into a little bit of what we just discussed and what we just saw happen with the tax conformity bill and where the Democrats are at. Before we get into these clips here, Brian, any first thoughts about, how this process is going in JFAC? What you see, do you really see it this year? Are they really going to be making some cuts?
I think so. The Democrats on the committee, especially on the Senate side, Senators Wintrow and Ward Engelking, they're very frustrated, I think is fair to say. And even some of the Republicans who would rather spend more than cut more are showing some frustration as well, which for somebody who wants to see spending cuts, I think that's a good sign. This really goes to the question of what is the role of government? What is the role of state government? It takes in all of this tax dollars, and we're talking about that with the conformity bill and the tax cuts from last year. takes in income taxes and sales taxes and various other little minor taxes here and there, and then it redistributes it in some ways. Sometimes it's for services like roads and bridges and all that, state police, state parks. But then there's also things like, all the entitlement programs, all the welfare programs, all the support for various people in various stages of their life. And that's really where this question is. You have the Democrat perspective that we need to do more of that, cradle to grave government support, and the more conservative perspective that that's not the role of government and that we're intruding into what should be a private sector charity, pull yourself up by your own bootstraps sort of environment.
Yes, absolutely. And so let's get to it. This morning in JFAC, the Democrats, their push here, and other Republicans as well, some Republicans have been saying, oh, it's not we don't have a spending problem, we have a revenue problem. And so they're really fighting tooth and nail to not make any cuts. And let's watch a little bit here of Senator Ward. Is it Ward Engelking? I think Senator Ward Engelking has an exchange here with both co-chairs. Let's watch this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this looks like death by 1,000 cuts.
Is this a question for me or for Mr. Bybee, or is just
maybe either or possibly comment, I guess. I think I'm the longest serving JFAC member at this point, and I've never seen a packet like this come from the co-chairs that are budgets where there's a 1% or 2%, and it sounds like we'll vote on them without a lot of the working group input, which is very troubling to me. These are ongoing cuts, so I would suggest these reductions aren't keeping us at a maintenance level. I think these cuts are going to be below the maintenance level for our agencies, and that really bothers me because I don't know that this keeps the lights on. And so I guess
all right, let's stop here for a second. Let's stop here for a second. Brian, forgive me. Where was this kind of concern and passion during COVID when they shut down people's lives and they told them they couldn't go to church and they had to say you got to shut your business down? Right? We're talking about 1 to 3% cuts here, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that goes to the Democrat worldview. It's shutting down businesses and churches and everything during COVID. Well, that was good because you might spread disease or whatever. You might be thinking wrong thoughts if you get together in groups of more than 10 people.
Yeah.
But remember, Democrats and too many Republicans were very supportive of a bunch of essentially government welfare programs during COVID. You stay home, shut down your business, we'll just mail you a check. Is that the end goal, the utopia that Democrats are trying to get to? Just shut everything down, tax. We want to reduce taxes on everybody except for one guy named Frank, and then make him pay for welfare for everyone else.
Brian, and guys in the booth there, I'm going to pivot. I'm going to play the other clip, and then we'll get back to that one. So we'll play that other clip in a second here. But Brian, you got it. What they want is slaves. They want slaves. They want to be able to feed you. They want to be able to take care of your health so that you can continue working and so that they can provide everything. That's the life of a slave. Like, I don't think people realize that. When you're like, oh, where's my welfare? Where's my Medicaid? We want universal coverage. We want you to teach our children. We want everything taken care of for us. You are asking to be a slave. That is the bottom line here. That is the bottom line. You're asking to be a slave when you want the government, when you want to work when you must work all day, because don't think you can't work eventually. Like, eventually you are going to have to go to work and provide for the state to make sure that everybody else takes care of everything. I mean, isn't that where we're headed?
There's a real, I think, a gulf between how a lot of modern people conceive of the idea of freedom and liberty and how our founders and our ancestors conceived of it. They had this idea of freedom with responsibility. You were free to work to provide for your family. You were free to chart your own course within your society. Today, freedom is you're free to smoke marijuana. You're free to not have to go to work. You're free to do whatever you want. It's freedom without responsibility, freedom with no obligations. But is that really freedom when you're put in this little box? If an animal is put in a zoo and it has everything provided for it, it has food and it's groomed and it has a little window with sunshine. Is that freedom? I wouldn't think so.
No, and then you add on top of it the fact that there's folks like you and me and the rest of the audience out there who maybe we're just suckers, right? Because we're the ones that say, no, we are going to go work. No, we don't want the to be on the dole. At this point, it feels like we're suckers. It's like, why are you doing that? I mean, it's we're almost getting to that point. I mean, when there was a few weeks ago something, I forget exactly what the trigger was, but it was when Nick Shirley exposed the fraud up in Minnesota. Like all of a sudden we saw people saying, okay, I guess I don't need to file my taxes this year. Like we almost had a tax revolt. It was very loud. It was the loudest I've seen in a long time. And I mean, obviously I don't think it's going to happen, but people are starting to feel like they're suckers. And why should they even do any of this into the system when you've got this on already? Okay, let's go, guys. Let's throw up the other clip with Senator Grow here, kind of laying down exactly what we're trying to deal with. Check this out.
That earlier,
Co-chair of JFAC.
Have you say it, so thank you for that, or Senator Ward Engelking, whomever, because that's exactly right. This is our first blush at it, and what it means this year is that the work groups are absolutely crucial. You're not figureheads that are just kind of getting together and talking about things. You have the ability to cut. You have the ability to increase. You have the ability to dig into these in a way that maybe hasn't seemed as important to all of us as it was in the past. This is a critical year. Now, 2009, 10, 11, responding again to a comment made earlier, there were some huge cuts made in those years. Some departments and agencies up to 25%, 35%. I mean, can you imagine living with that? We're talking a 1%, a 2% here. They're painful, I understand that. But it's an effort to kind of right-size this thing based on the ongoing aspect. And you do have the ability to do supplementals up or down, sideways, whatever you choose to do. So thank you for what you're going to do. We'll do this on Friday. That'll be our first shot across the bow. And then you'll carry us from there to the end of the road. Thank you.
All right. What do you think, Brian? What do you think of his take there? And what he's asking them to do.
It's kind of exciting to see JFAC actually looking at cutting instead of raising spending as they have. Senator Grow, he's in my district, so I get to hear from him a lot. Every week or every month, he comes to our district meetings and says, when he got to JFAC, it was just a rubber stamp for the governor. And he asked the chairs, what do we even do here? And now he's finally in a position to actually make some changes. And hopefully we'll see some actual cuts here. The Democrats like to say that we've cut to the bone. We're cutting into the bone now. But would you really say that our state government with its 14 and point whatever $1 billion budget is perfectly efficient, that there's nothing that can be cut? Or
I know. It's a joke.
Trimmed.
It's a joke.
Yesterday during the conformity bill hearing, it was either Representative Razor or Representative Shepard, I forget which one, brought up what he called the forgotten man. And this is a concept that goes back all the way to the Great Depression. Amity Shlaes wrote a terrific book on it. It's not the poor or the vulnerable who are forgotten. We have all these government programs to take care of them. It's not the rich who are forgotten because they have enough money and enough time to really make an impact in politics. They can buy votes on stuff. It's the men and women who are working, who don't have time to be in politics, who don't have all the capital to, spend money and donate money, but they're also not poor enough to get those government programs. They're the taxpayers who are supporting these government programs. Right. And they're the ones who are always forgotten. And those are the ones who I think our legislature should be paying more attention to instead of just assuming that they're an unlimited piggy bank for whatever they want to do.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Brian, we got Representative Lucas Kaler we want to bring in here. So let's we'll if we have time, we'll come back to you, Brian, but let's make sure people follow you at Brian Allman on X, and we'll see you in a little bit. Thank you, sir. All right, let's bring in Representative Kaler, who just got off the floor. We're so grateful to have him join us here live. Representative Kaler, it's great to see you. We just saw you guys pass that conformity bill on a total party line basis, which means only 9 votes in the opposite when you've got that many Democrats in there. So congrats on getting that through. Do you think it's going to have a hard time in the Senate, or are the Republicans pretty united on this? Oh, we lost your audio. We don't have your audio. You guys want to check his audio? We'll get your audio fixed in here. I don't hear it yet. Sometimes you can hear it click on. All right, guys, why don't you talk with him off on the side there, and we'll bring Brian back in here and see if we can get him in there. Yeah. So, one thing I want to bring up here, we have the budget. If you guys want to throw up the budget graph of the revenue, and check this out. This is kind of like what has been the source of all of this, stress, right? Is the revenue. How much money is coming in because of the tax cuts from last year? And you see here, we have, the dark color, the dark green, blue, whatever it is, I'm colorblind, I have no idea, is the actual number in revenue. And we're starting in with July of last year. The lighter number, the tan bar, is the revenue projection, how much we thought we were going to come in. And if you see those first few months there, the actual number was below. And so that's what prompted the governor to say, we're not going to meet our revenue goals, so we need to make these cuts. And then in December, a huge burst of income, of revenue came into the government. And we don't know what January looks like yet. I think they're thinking because of December that January may be higher as well. But when you see this kind of trajectory here, what had happened is we have all the numbers here on our side, don't we?
Sure. And I think these projections are the adjusted projections they made after they started coming in under. They redid their projections for the rest of fiscal year 2026. But then, December comes up. So I always said that this is not a catastrophe. This is not the end of the world. If revenues are coming in under projections, then that doesn't mean we have a revenue problem. We have a spending problem. That's Ron Nate says it. Numerous other people have said that, and I agree with it. The problem is always going to be on the spending side. So let's use this opportunity to cut things. I disagree with the Democrats. There are places we can cut without really hurting anybody. I mean, the biggest elephant in the room here is Medicaid expansion.
Right.
That's taking up. A good chunk, like $100 million or so, give or take, of our general fund, plus 90% more from the federal government. If you cut that, then suddenly you don't have to cut these little things that people are getting up in arms about, dental coverage on Medicaid, or, some support for disabled students, or, these furloughs they're talking about for prison guards and police. All of this is circling the wagons around Medicaid expansion to try and protect that. And they're going to sacrifice all these other things in order to make it work. Why not just cut the big one and everything else will fall into place? Yeah. All right. Well, let's give a shot. Let's try Representative Kaler again. Let's see if we can if we fix the issues. Oh, he's not here. Okay. I thought he did come back in. He's not there. That's fine. It happens. Sometimes it happens. And we know from my experience that Capitol Wi-Fi is sometimes finicky. Yeah, the Capitol Wi-Fi is finicky. I tell you what, guys, in the booth, as soon as he comes in, throw him up on the screen. We'll check him out and see how it works. Looks like he might be here now. There we go. There he is. He's looking good. We got the good video. Can we hear you yet? No, we can't hear you now. Oh my goodness. I wonder if it's a setting, input setting on your end there, but all right, Brian, you're gonna have to fill time here. Well, talking more about the. Well, let's talk about the bill from yesterday, because the 557 that Representative Kaler was on the dais there, peppering with questions and so forth. It was a pretty lively event. I think they went for about 2 hours. At least I was moving from place to place, so I was sometimes listening in my car as I was driving, and it just kept going and going. Representative Ehart, at one point, the chair of the committee, called a recess, and they and so they took a break there. But in the end, it was a solid vote, despite all the organizing and all the testimony from the usual suspects, the left-wing activists. It did pass 13-3. Only one Republican switched sides to vote with the Democrats, and that was Representative Cheatham from out east. Representative Kaler, hopefully he can get on here because he had some very good questions. Representative Hotlistetler had some good questions as well. For some of these testifiers, trying to get to the heart of the issue. Is this about protecting people from discrimination, or is this about protecting the conscience rights of individuals and businesses in these cities?
Yeah. All right, well, let's try him one more time. Maybe he's on a different system. I hear him now. I know I hear you, Representative. Can you hear us, Representative? Now he's frozen. The Wi-Fi there. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Oh, that's what happens when we go live to the Capitol sometimes.
Well, I don't know. Are we saying we need to increase the budget for legislative services IT department?
No, not at all. This is a luxury. Maybe we'll just let him get back to work. We'll try again another time. All right, folks. Let's do this. There's an article that you're putting out. Did you put it out this morning on the hearing from yesterday? Kind of going through it all.
I wrote about the thing before it yesterday. This morning I talked about the resolutions about the Article 5 convention. So I'll probably follow up again on 557.
Okay. Well, then that's a nice pivot then, because we had. Should we try Representative Kaler again?
One more time.
Hey, Representative, can you hear us?
I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. Yes. But he can't hear us. It's a one-way mic over there.
But I can't hear anything on my end.
Well, Representative, we're grateful that we can have you here. But if you can't
sorry, I can't hear anything.
Okay, well,
on my end here.
We'll try again. No problem. All right. I'll let him know. Let's do this. Let's take a quick bumper break, and we'll be back. Maybe some jazz music or something.
Coming from within the system, which the process in the system is broken.
All Idaho lawmakers swear an oath to support the Idaho and U.S. constitutions. But how's that working out for you? Because not all Idaho lawmakers share the same values. That's where the Citizens Alliance of Idaho pledge comes in. 10 statements inspired by those two founding documents that are designed to preserve our shared values. Values such as education freedom, safeguarding free speech, defending our protected right to self-defense, and being responsible stewards of taxpayer dollars. When a lawmaker signs the pledge, they are performing an act of political courage, accepting the challenge to be a champion for our values, and serving with political integrity. To find out if your lawmaker signed the pledge, visit idahopledge.com. Paid for by Citizens Alliance of Idaho. We ride together.
Okay, we apologize for the technical difficulties there with Representative Kaler, but we'll connect with him offline and see if we can get a better connection and have him back on here. So real quickly, this morning they discussed the Article 5 convention. You want to quickly kind of just set up what this particular bill was trying to do this morning?
Sure. So I'll try to go quickly. The Article 5 of the Constitution talks about how you can amend it. You can have Congress propose an amendment via 2/3 vote, or you can have the states, 2/3 of the states, call upon Congress to create a convention in which states send delegates to propose amendments. And there's several organizations that have been working hard to make that happen. This morning was interesting, though. So there's 2 resolutions in the House right now. One calls for a convention to propose an amendment for term limits. This one this morning was to Representative John Schertz proposed a resolution that would call for a convention to do an amendment on a balanced budget. But what was interesting to me, and what I wrote about over at Gem State Chronicle this morning, is that they said explicitly, this is not actually about calling a convention. This is essentially a bluff, maybe, to threaten Congress, to say, if you don't pass an amendment regarding a balanced budget yourself, then we're going to do this convention of the states. I don't know. I'm not really enthusiastic about that plan. I mean, I've shared my thoughts on it for a while there. But it did pass, so it is going to go to the House floor. We're going to see some significant debate on if this is the best way to go forward to curb the federal government's spending problem, because we all agree the federal government has a spending problem. The question is, and the disagreement comes from, okay, how do we actually solve that?
Yeah, very good. All right, well, we'll cover more on that as the week goes on here, especially when it gets to the floor. We are very persistent here, folks. We are going to try Representative Kaler one more time because it's so vital that we get him on the program. Representative, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. In the immortal words of Barack Obama, yes, we can.
We with the opposing thumbs have overcome the hurdles of technology.
Absolutely. Well, we only have a few minutes, but we do want to give you the floor here. I did want to get your impression on the hearing yesterday with the discrimination, law, the state and cities and that sort of thing. But I also wanted to know, what's on your boilerplate and what you're cooking up over there. So please, sir, take it away.
All right, well, I'll keep it quick. So the hearing on the anti-discrimination bill yesterday that came through, that was quite eye-opening. But I think statutorily and constitutionally, we have the obligation to provide the protection of constitutional rights for all businesses. And to be frank, I'm really kind of getting tired of they're always trying to be carve-outs for certain classes of people, and the protection should extend to all. So I think that the case is laid out very clearly in Article 1 of the Idaho State Constitution, Section 2, and then also in Article 12, it lays it out quite clearly what the obligations of the state is with regard to the protection of rights and the preemption of city and local code. So I will be exploring getting colleagues to support this and voting for it when it comes before us on the House floor.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay. Well, so then in terms of the legislation that you're working on or going to try and whip votes for, what's on the docket?
So the big plan that I am bringing some pretty major CPS reform bills. We are trying to tackle the issue with medical kidnapping with regard to children being wrongfully removed from their family under the pretense or the claim or report of medical neglect by either mandatory reporters, which is school teachers, social workers, or CPS social workers. And instead, tighten up the gaps in the current statute in Title 16, making it very difficult for people to be able to make a false report of a child with regards to medical neglect, and then force the parents to undergo the months or years of lawfare trying to, one, clear their name, two, try to reunite their family, their child, or in some cases, children, and three, the incredible expense that can be absolutely financial devastating when a parent has to go try to prove all of this and try to get their child back. It can be incredibly financially burdensome for them, spending either tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to clear their name and get their family put back together.
Yeah, it's such a devastating. Those stories are just so devastating, and on both sides. I mean, it's terrible when any of this stuff has to hit the courts and has to hit the systems like this. But well, that sounds amazing, especially considering a lot of the testimonies and things that came to light during the summer and with one of those interim committees and so forth. I can't imagine you're going to see much pushback on this, right? I mean, you never know, but.
Well, I can tell you that we did meet with several of the agency directors from the Department of Health and Welfare on Friday. We sat in about a 2.5 hour long meeting with them going over this legislation. Obviously, it does impact them, which is not to impact them in a negative way. You know, the intent and the desire of this legislation is not to prevent them from being able to investigate or remove children who are actually in a situation of drug or alcohol abuse or physical or sexual abuse, right? We absolutely want the state and demand that the state step in and to take care of the rights of the vulnerable. But we are seeing so many cases that have come through the Idaho family courts in more recent years. And I think the one I'd really like to point to is the Baby Cyrus case from 2022, where the child was taken away and that removal was initiated by Child Protective Service. Oh, I'm sorry. The removal was initiated by St. Luke's when they called Child Protective Services simply because the mother and Marissa and the baby missed a doctor's appointment to do a weight check. Despite the fact that she called and she left a message with St. Luke's asking for a return phone call to reschedule the appointment, they didn't in fact call her back. They called CPS instead and filed a report of medical neglect. And that was the story that made national headlines. It was very big here in Idaho. But unfortunately, we are seeing so many instances of that just repeatedly over and over again across the state. I've been partnering with a parental rights nonprofit advocacy group here. She's actually a constituent of mine in Caldwell. Her name is Christine McCreary. She went through the system about 8 years ago with her son. Her son was removed. He was sick with the flu. He was a few pounds underweight. And after being in the hospital for 7 days, the hospital called CPS and they initiated an investigation of medical neglect because he was a few pounds underweight. Criminal charges were filed against the mother. She was forced to accept the criminal charges to get her son back. Thankfully, she was able to get an attorney. They pled the charges down, but it just gave her the drive and the fire to start this nonprofit advocacy, advocating for the rights of parents, because this is happening at least on a monthly basis, sometimes on a weekly basis here in the state. She's helped over 45 families in the last 3 years that are going through this exact same thing that we're referring to as medical kidnapping. So it's time to put the brakes on it. It's time to make sure that mandatory reporters, medical professionals, and CPS know exactly what they're supposed to do and where the confines of their job is in relationship to the law.
Well, Godspeed to you, Representative. This is really, really important work you're doing, and a lot of these stories are just heartbreaking. We're going to let you get back to it. I appreciate you being persistent with us and getting on the air. It's very important, very good, and we're glad to get your word out. Can you, if people want to follow your work and support what you're doing, can you want to give us a quick place where we can do that?
So you can follow me on Facebook. My first name, Lucas, Lucas, last name, Kaler, Cayler. That's on Facebook. You can also find me on Twitter X now, formerly known as Twitter. My handle is a little complicated. It's the #1 nation _ God 208. So One Nation _ God 208 on X, and you can follow me there as well.
Brilliant. We'll put that up and make sure people can find you. Thanks again, Representative. Have a fantastic week, and Godspeed to you.
All right. Appreciate you, Matt. Thanks, Brian. Good to see you as always.
Yeah. Take care, guy. All right. Appreciate it.
I'm remembering 4 years ago, I went to my first ever Capitol Clarity, and then Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeehan was speaking. It might have been 2021, even 5 years ago. And she was talking about the Baby Cyrus case, how he was taken from his parents, and they went through that hellish ordeal. And I remember asking her, okay, what's the legislature going to do to fix this? And I don't really think, she had a solid answer there. Just, you got to try and fix the problem, one step at a time. So I'm very glad to see legislation like this coming forward to finally, reform this system.
Yeah, likewise, Brian. Likewise, it's always good to see that. So that's why we get these good folks in there, to push forward good legislation. And I also want to talk to you this week about limiting the number of bills, because that's that's an issue, that rule that's coming up. They want to limit the number of bills that come through. So we got to make sure we dive into that and see what that's all about too. So, all right, folks, real quick. Yeah. If we have this flyer, let's throw it up here at 4:30 today inside one of the committee rooms. I forget which one. Do you know which committee room they'll be in? We don't know yet.
I'll get that in just a second.
Yeah, the Capitol Action and Press event. Demand immigration enforcement now at the Idaho State Capitol. That's today at 4:30. Idaho legislators will unveil a new legislative package for real immigration reform. I don't know too much about this other than the former Idaho Solicitor General and former Trump admin Assistant Attorney General Theo Wold will be there to speak as well. So he apparently is behind this, which is, I think, some good news for those who are looking for some more immigration enforcement, especially inside Idaho. So let's make sure we have that on tap for you today.
Theo's he's been working on the immigration issue for a long time. In the Trump administration, he was the architect of the Remain in Mexico policy, also the saving of the jobs. When I think it was the Tennessee Valley Authority was going to try and offshore. So he's a good voice on this, and we need some good voices on this.
Yeah,
and, it's going to be in committee room EW 42. That's the same one that is used for judiciary and rules, as well as revenue and tax on the House side of the Capitol.
All right, yeah, that's East Wing 42. If you want to head over there at 4:30 to check it out. All right, Brian, good to see you. We'll check back in with you tomorrow, probably.
See you tomorrow.
Good to see you, my friend. Take care. And folks, another reminder: we hit 5,000 on YouTube, so go be a part of that 5,000 number. Head over to the YouTube channel and hit us up there. That'll be fantastic. You can also follow us on Rumble. We're always on Rumble as well, and X and Facebook and Instagram. Idaho Signal.live is where you can listen to the show without the video. If you can't stand the way we look, you can just listen to our voices. I don't know if that's a good tagline or not, but we're using it. 208-402-4915 is the number to call in. Leave us a voicemail. 208-402-4915. Put it in your favorites section in your phone and give us a call and leave us a message. We will be back here tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out with us. You got bonus time. We got about 10 minutes of bonus time today. Wow, lucky you guys. We'll see you next time.
I think it puts a stake in the ground that says we have a sovereign right to protect what's ours.